What I say is that it is not about integration. It is not, the issue is not segregation. The issue is congregation. It means aggregating. What it is called functional pluralism, which means we are not trying to integrate, we're not trying to segregate. No other group comes here and says, I want to integrate and segregate. What they're saying is that if I come together and concentrate as a people, concentrate my power and my wealth and my resources, I can compete. That's what they're talking about. And please, since I love all of you all and I'm going to move here with you, don't let them trick you all anymore with them upside down glasses. They used to ask me that during integration about Dr. Anderson. Now, hold it. Now, you at the governor's office in Florida, you represent the whole state in education. Now, what do you want during integration? Do you want, you got Malcolm X talking about segregation, you got Martin Luther King talking about integration. Why don't you all make up your mind, which do you want? I said, I don't want either one. I want the same rights and privileges that everybody else got to go to either one of the sticks. Don't try to put me on one end of the stick. What I want more than anything else is to bring my people together and say, get all the power and the wealth together like everybody else. And that way, they'll quit trying to give us, try to define us. You see, every Asian, for instance, when he leaves his homeland, he comes to America. He looks in the mirror and says, I'm going to America. And when I get to America, I'm going to find me a community of people that either look like me or I'm going to build me a community of people that look like me, that have my values, my culture, and my language. Nobody asked him about integration or segregation. When Hispanics come to this country, they would say, I'm going in, I'm going to build me a community of people that look like me or sound like me. And like the Asians who set up little Havanas, who set up little Cambodias, little Vietnam, Chinatowns in every city. The Hispanics come in, they'll build little Mexicos, little Havanas, little Hialeahs. I can go across America and find German towns, French towns, Greek towns, Polish towns, but I can't find a black town.
What's good, y'all? Leading live streams. We back. How you guys doing? Welcome to another live stream. We did it again. You know what I'm saying? Y'all know we cooked up yesterday, so you know I had to bring it back for another one. Salute my boy Randall. What up, player? How you been, man? Ain't seen you in a minute. Hope you've been well, bro. Salute to Ezra. How you doing, Ezra? Thank you for always pulling up. But yeah, today what we talking about? So yesterday we were kind of talking about Black economics, right? When it comes to what was happening with the boycotts for the Asian businesses, right? And I was doing a little bit of, deep diving. I wanted to kind of stay on that topic, but I wanted to do more of an intricate deep dive where we could kind of look at the numbers. We could do some real wealth understanding and actually see how much and how powerful this wealth transfer will be once we start to take our money out of the hands of other peoples and we put it back into the Black community, right? Why I put wealth transfer is because that's exactly what can happen if this is done properly, right? If we are able to properly put businesses in position, especially foundational Black American businesses, and we start to prioritize our money into those, different entities, we actually can make a huge wealth transfer in the neighborhood of around $2 trillion, guys. This is something that could really happen if we do it correctly. And so I want to talk about that. Obviously, I have one of my biggest inspirations, Dr. Claude Anderson, who speaks on group economics, and he's talked about Black economics and the powernomics that are necessary for us as a community to be able to turn into a superpower among the minorities that we already have to face, right? So we're going to talk about that tonight. So salute Randall. He says, been on TikTok arguing with Pink Toes about the Carmelo Anthony case. Yeah, man. They've been over here harassing us, and we've been whooping what, all up and down these YouTube streets. So you already know what that is, man. You know how that goes. But also, we was talking about this, where we had the Rick Choi, and you know what I'm saying? This was one of the bigger stories that we were talking about here as well. And that's kind of what has sparked what we're going through right now, which is the Asian boycott of Asian businesses, right? That's kind of what's happening right now, right? And we've been talking about this, where Carmack Belton was caught basically in a very uncomfortable position where he's being harassed and followed around the store. They think he steals a water. He says no. He leaves. As he's running, they chase him out of the store. They pow him in his back, and then obviously he succumbs to his pow wounds, we'll say, right? So we also talked about where you had Latasha Harlins, who was out here in LA, and I talked to people about specifically how that was one of the biggest sparks for the LA riots, right? And the Rodney King riots as well. Rodney King, obviously we know there was a video that was caught by a witness, right, who saw him getting, brutally beat by the police, right? And this was in the 1990s. So there was a strong history of what was going on between the Black community and the Asian community. There's been a documented history, so to speak. And so obviously this has now shifted a lot of people's mentalities and kind of what they wanted to spend their money, right? And justifiably so. We've been definitely supporting a lot of their businesses, specifically, when it comes to the liquor stores, the beauty supplies, the nail shops, the spas, we could keep going, right? And I think Randall said he worked at a Chinese restaurant. They don't mess with Black people. Yeah, man, it's unfortunate, because we've definitely, all started to kind of share those stories, right, of the different prejudices that a lot of them have faced. A lot of us, our people in general, have faced when we have, patronized their businesses. So a thing for me was today, I wanted to kind of talk about that, right? So as we had that happen, right, with Mr. Chow and Carmack Belton and, kind of the history of that, right? We had that happen, right? So then this happens, everybody's talking about it, it's going viral. There's many people who are raising awareness about the injustices that was done to him. Rick Child's able to walk, has no justice, right? So then it kind of leads into people talking about, okay, we're going to a complete blackout. We're going to start shifting our money out of their community and start supporting Black communities, Black-owned businesses, because obviously it's at our best interest. Yes, zero accountability. That's right. So all this happened and none of the community took accountability for this. So naturally, a lot of people said, okay, bet, like we're going to go ahead and do what you got to do. Yeah, so then you had, let me take this down. You have people like this coming out.
Boycott right? Asian businesses. Please do. We'll get rid of the Chinese takeout, the dry cleaners, the laundromats. Let's get rid of the liquor stores as well. Get rid of the Jordans you guys wear, the Nikes you wear, the shower caps, the Hondas, the Hyundais, all your car electricians, the electronics in your house, the Sony, the TV system, your sound system, the microphones that you guys use to rap and speak about awareness for the black culture and the hip hop culture. Where do you think that's made in? That's made all in Asia. And here's another thing for you guys. You guys want us to leave the neighborhood so bad? Oh, Asian people are in our neighborhoods? We're in white neighborhoods. We have our own Chinatown. We have our own Koreatown. You think we really need you guys to benefit off and make money? A lot of us do go to college as well. You're being outworked by immigrants who barely speak English. And you're not embarrassed? Go to the bank, start your own businesses, and deal with your own people. I want to see your own women get on their hands and knees and do pedicures and manicures and deal with nasty.
All right, so that video goes viral, right? We're just going down the timeline, right? Just so that we don't ever get this confused, you know, because a lot of people are trying to gaslight Black Americans now. They're trying to make it seem like we're the ones who are on the attack. They're trying to make it seem like we're the ones who are racist and anti-Asian. Meanwhile, we're the ones who are getting attacked in the entire scenario, right? Because, like I mentioned, it's all historical. It is all historical. Okay? We're going down a timeline here. Yes, as we're going down a timeline, right? So we're not going to miss any details when they're trying to gaslight us, okay? Like I told you guys, started from right here, and we will not forget where it started. Rick Chow, okay, and his actions that mirrored a scenario that already happened in the past with Miss Latasha Harlins. Okay, we're staying focused here. We're on the timeline, right? So boom, like I said, this happens. Everybody's talking about it. It goes viral. Then we start to say, okay, let's make sure we start redirecting our money. Let's get out of their businesses. Let's put it in our businesses, right? That's kind of where we're going, right? So boom, like I mentioned, then this guy comes out.
Attitudes, right? Okay? Please boycott Asian business.
Right? I'm gonna mute him, but I'm gonna let him go. But this guy comes out, right? Then he goes out, he's doing what he does, saying whatever he says. And like you guys mentioned, he immediately takes it down because the backlash was swift. It was the belt of justice, like the belt of justice, pop, 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 went ahead and took over this dude right here. You know what I'm saying? He has to hold that L. He had to delete all of his social media. He sparks what I consider the last blow for some of these folks, not all of us, but a good amount of us, to understand what's at fault here, right? And what we need to be thinking about. And mind you, it always comes down to dollars and cents, right? It always comes down to dollars and cents. Exactly. Right? Run now. Stand on it, brother. Stand on it. You had a lot to say about a lot of things that you don't even know anything about. How you going to bring up a microphone and a Black American man invented the microphone? How are you going to talk about dry cleaners when Black Americans invented the process of dry cleaning? And guess what? A Black American woman introduced and created the ironing board. The nerve of these uneducated fools. You know what I'm saying? Uneducated fools, man. Y'all, if y'all listen to the Isley Brothers, you know what I mean when I'm talking about these uneducated fools. He got on here saying all that stuff, not understanding the real history. Okay? Everything that you mentioned, Black Americans started that. Okay? And now we got to sit up here and you guys trying to gaslight us. Okay, bet. So Black Americans said, all right, what we're going to do then, we're going to focus on our businesses and we're going to start patronizing our businesses. Let's go out here. If we got to drive a little bit further, if we got to make an appointment, if we got to go natural, we'll do that for the greater good of the dollars that need to get made, right? So we're on the timeline, right? Like Miss Ezra said. So now let's continue. We're going to take this ugly guy down and we'll put this beautiful thing up. Okay. So as you guys can see right here, this is, let me put full screen for y'all. This is the power and potential of the Black dollar. And let's read. In 2023, Black-owned businesses in the United States generated over $206 billion in annual revenue. At the same time, Black consumers 1.6 to 1.7 trillion in spending power rank yet among a only small fraction of the wealth that stays within the Black community. Now, as you'll see, you have a chart of the Black American economy in comparison to entire countries. Okay? As you can see, we are doing much better as a Black American spending bloc than Mexico, Indonesia, the Netherlands, Saudi Arabia, and Switzerland. All right? So when they tell you about the Black dollar, when they tell you about the spending power that you possess, and the fact that if we collectively choose to say we don't want to partake in your business practices, we will take our business elsewhere, that immediately sets a permeation or an estimate of at least $1.6 trillion. I showed it for you guys right there. It's right there. All right. In estimation. All right. So imagine that much revenue being shifted, right? And that's why I had to make sure we talked about the wealth transfer aspect, the wealth transfer that will happen once we start to take that $1.7 trillion and we invest it back into our community. Salute, Torian. Appreciate you pulling up. Now, as I mentioned, right, we had the chart. We're on the timeline. We're talking about how the Asian community is trying to gaslight us into thinking that we were on the attack when we must not forget the history. Okay? That's what we must not forget, because there is a timeline here. This was not just an overnight, hey man, we woke up today and we just wanted to put Asian businesses out of business. No. This is a calculated power move to be able to access and grow that Black American dollar, right? This is all this is about. This is about power moves. This is about an objective plan to make a shift of wealth of around a $1.7 billion tag back into the community, right? And so we're talking about that, right? Because obviously, yes, we could talk about how many people have come out and, you know, said a lot of disparaging things because Black Americans have choose to be strategic in how we spend our dollars and where we spend our dollars. And specifically the fact that we are also speaking about the injustices that were committed against these young people who lost their lives for nothing. Okay? These young people right here. All right? They lost their lives because of shop owners' own prejudices and a sick mindset. Okay? An anti-Black mindset that a lot of these people come over here with. And it's very unfortunate because we try our best to support their businesses. We try our best to patronize their businesses. But at the end of the day, what you're not going to do is disrespect us. And what you're not going to do is to continue to target the youth, okay, who are just doing what they got to do, man. The brother wanted to get some water, all right? So now, as we're talking about that $1.7 trillion, right, that's in our community, let's talk about what that is. What does that look like? All right. So let's try and see if we get this full screen, right? So we got right here the power of the Black dollars, the categories where the percentage of Black spending is greater in proportion to the population. Okay. So as you guys can see here, they have a breakdown categorized of the exact itemizations of traditionally what our Black dollars are going to. And as I mentioned yesterday on stream, as you see at the very top, almost at a spending rate of $54 million, you have ethnic hair and beauty aids, right? Which they're saying is at the percentage, which is 85.65 percentage of the total spends that's attributed to the Black consumers. That's a huge chunk of money that is going to beauty supplies and to the hair industry in the Black American community. That's just facts. That's broken down right there for you guys to see it. I won't be having any more bourbon chicken or lo mein. Yeah, man, you can make it yourself, bro. You know what I'm saying? There's plenty of YouTube videos where you can make it from scratch, dog. You know what I'm saying? Make your own takeout at home. You know what I'm saying? It's much cheaper. It's obviously more healthy. You know what I mean? And you know what's going in your food. You know what I'm saying? We already know some of them rumors about them restaurants. All right. That's all I got to say. But just make sure that you know, if you want it, you can make it yourself. You know what I'm saying? So look, we're going to bring back up this list, right? So the itemized list, as you can see, when let me go full screen actually on this. All right, bet. So the second one, right? Second highest spending block is women's fragrances at a clip of 152 million. So I look at this from a business perspective, right? Me having my own business, me being, you know, an entrepreneur myself, right? If I'm a Black business owner, or if I wanted to start a Black owned business, I would look at this itemized list and I would say to myself, okay, what is a business that I can get into that is going to be the most lucrative and stable, but as well, I can implement it from a Black American standpoint. I'm the owner. So you look at this, boom, and there you go. I mean, if you want to own a beauty supply store, I think right now would be a perfect time to do it if you're trying to do that as a Black American. You know what I'm saying? If you are a person who sells oils or body oils or fragrances, obviously, as you can see, that's at the very top of the list for what the major spending block is. You want to do that, you know what I'm saying? Feminine hygiene products, men's toiletries, right? So men's products, men who are, you know what I mean, doing the beard oils, or they're doing, you know, the men's, you know, fragrances, all that good stuff. You know, if you're a Black business owner, get your business out there, man. Reach out to me back, you know what I mean, behind the scenes. I'll promote businesses if y'all got something, you know what I'm saying, something to sell. I'll do a nice little review for you. As you can see, then we're going into like the produce sections of it. So you have frozen meats, you have refrigerated juices and drinks. So if you got a juice business, if you got, you know what I mean? Obviously, you guys know I'm a big proponent of like health and wealth. I'll be juicing all the time. You know what I'm saying? I'll be on my Larry June, you know what I mean? Green juice in the morning type stuff. So I do juices all the time. You know what I mean? I have a lot of videos on my channel where I did some juice fast actually, but it's a great business to get into because obviously, as you guys can see, it's a huge spending block of our community. Then you have, if you're doing spices or seasonings, right? If you're in that business, that's a great business. You know, bottled waters, gum, okay, household cleaners, detergents, cookware, and charcoal barbecue accessories, right? So that's mostly the spending block that we have, right? And so, like I mentioned, like if I'm a business owner, if I'm trying to, you know, start a business and I'm looking at the fact that we have this much spending power in Black America and it's been shifted from our communities into other communities that naturally don't give back to our community, then sure, yeah, we're gonna definitely see kind of how this is, you know, a big proponent to have something that we should really be focused on, you know what I'm saying? And definitely putting a lot of effort into, because obviously there is an encapsulation that we want to create if we're really talking about separating ourselves and being completely independent from this system, right? And that would mean us making a lot of necessary changes and focusing on building our communities. And that's why that video that I played from Dr. Claude Anderson was just such a good video. You know, I'm gonna play it for y'all right here, but he speaks on that and just how it's about building a community.
Integration. It is not, the issue is not segregation. The issue is congregation. It means aggregating. What it is called functional pluralism, which means We're not trying to integrate. We're not trying to segregate. No other group comes here and says, I want to integrate and segregate. What they're saying is that if I come together and concentrate as a people, concentrate my power and my wealth and my resources, I can compete.
That's what it is. And that's a part of this is like, that's what a lot of other groups have been able to be, you know, actually like celebrated for, right? Is how they stick together, right? Is okay, yeah, like you got, you know, Mexican families, 8 of them living in a 2-bedroom house, all this other stuff. Yeah, but that house is now getting paid off by all the people who are contributing as one in that little house. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, you know what I mean? A lot of people have a lot of ways they feel about that. But at the end of the day, it's group economics, right? It's all of us putting together as a common goal in the pot to then make sure that we can make moves from here, right? And that's one thing about us as Black Americans, like we can now start to build those systems again, because we did have that at one point. You know what I'm saying? Like I mentioned, I come from a great family. Like I don't have any complaints, but obviously, like as you grow older, you know, people pass away, all this other stuff, you know, things change. But at the end of the day, when I grew up in that core, it was about everybody sticking together, putting together in a pot. Hey, man, if we gonna, you know, have a barbecue, everybody gonna pitch in, right? So it's the same mentality when it comes to businesses. Like if you got a business and you do something that I need, I'm gonna make sure that I market myself and do it the best way that I can so that that money circulates in the community. You feel me?
That's what they're talking about. And please, since I love all of you all, and I'm gonna move here with you, don't let them trick you all anymore with them upside down glasses. They used to ask me that during integration about Dr. Anderson. Now hold it. Now you at the governor's office in Florida, you represent the whole state in education. Now what do you want during integration? Do you want, you got Malcolm X talking about segregation, you got Martin Luther King talking about integration. Why don't you all make up your mind, which do you want? I said, I don't want either one. I want the same rights and privileges that everybody else got to go to either one of the sticks. Don't try to put me on one end of the stick. What I want more than anything else is to bring my people together and say, get all the power and wealth together like everybody else. And that way, quit trying to give us, try to define us. You see, every Asian, for instance, when he leaves his homeland, he comes to America. He looks in the mirror and says, I'm going to America. And when I get to America, I'm going to find me a community of people that either look like me or I'm going to build me a community of people that look like me, that have my values, my culture, and my language. Nobody asked him about integration or segregation. When Hispanics come to this country, they would say, I'm going in, I'm going to build me a community of people that look like me or sound like me. And like the Asians who set up little Havanas, who set up little Cambodias, little Vietnam, Chinatowns in every city. The Hispanics come in, they'll build little Mexicos, little Havanas, little Hialeahs. I can go across America and find German towns, French towns, Greek towns, Polish towns, but I can't find a black town.
And that's it. Like right now, like you mentioned, yeah, it's our time. Like right now is the time for us to be maximizing every single resource. We got to start really building this up where now that money has shifted from their community back into ours, right? Like I mentioned, it's going to be a wealth transfer, a real one, like a real wealth transfer. Like if we're able to have this situation where we can take that money out of these people's hands. I already showed you guys the metrics, over $15 trillion. We could move that back into Black businesses and our community, making sure that we're encapsulating ourselves as a community. There's not going to be anybody that can stop us, man, because that's exactly what it's about. Like you mentioned, like when these people came here, there wasn't no, oh, you have to integrate or you have to, you know, be on segregation. No, they just were there thinking about themselves and their people. Obviously, when we were on a segregated side of things, right, we were the ones thriving while the other side was doing terribly. Okay, this is all facts. The reason why all these, you know, towns were taken down, Black Wall Street, all this stuff is because they hit the Great Depression at a downturn and we were hitting the Great Depression at an upturn. Okay, that's just facts. they got jealous and they did what they did to us. And that's why reparations are due for our ancestors, because this has happened multiple times and it's still happening. And that's why a lot of us are now really just like, hey, man, we done. Like, ain't no coming back. We got to make sure that we rebuild what we lost. And the best way that we can do it is by shifting our power in the dollars that we possess. You know what I'm saying? Without this, you feel me? This is how we make it hurt. This is how we really start to make change. Because before, yes, you know, protesting and, you know, getting out in the streets, yes, there are certain things will call for that. But right now, this is how we compete, okay? With making sure that we shift this money back into our community, we're able to compete not only on just a regular scale, but hey, man, our businesses are thriving. We can employ more people. You can employ more Black Americans, okay? Because obviously, like people are talking about, a lot of people are out of jobs, right? And a lot of people need jobs. And if we have more Black businesses that are able to open up more brick and mortar stores, more places in our community, we can start hiring those kids and those people who are out of work. Then that continues to circulate in the community, right? Because it all works in our favor if we all stick together in this. Randall Salute, he says, I predicted this Black American unity 23 years ago. Glad to see it. Yeah, it's starting to happen, man. We're really starting to stand on business. There's a lot of people who really were upset with what happened to these people right here. They were really upset about that, man. This really was something based as well with the timing of what just happened to Carmelo Anthony. A lot of people are really just seeing things differently. And it's not by, like, even sometimes, like I say, some people seek out this information, but now you can't ignore it anymore. Like, all this stuff is in our face now, and a lot of people have to address it. And so I think with that, having to address it, with not being able to hide from it, we're starting to see more and more people speaking up. We're starting to see more and more people waking up and starting to separate themselves and completely think about things differently, as we should be. Everybody should have been thinking differently for a minute ago, whatever. But like you mentioned, long as they thinking right now, I could take it. I'll take it, bro. Because yeah, same. I've been on this for a minute now, but now that I'm on here, I'm glad to meet like-minded individuals. You know what I'm saying? Build trade schools to teach young men how to work the jobs. Yes, exactly. Obviously, my uncle is a master plumber and a contractor. He did that for most of his life. He was a union worker. He helped build SoFi Stadium's plumbing systems. He was one of the designers for that. You know what I mean? He's a very heavy hitter out here when it comes to the plumbing community. And I tell people all the time, he lived a great life. I mean, when I tell you a millionaire as a plumber, they wouldn't even believe me. But I could show them that. I could show them their house. I could show them the pool. I could show them the multiple cars out front. I could show them the entire garage full of, man, let me stop. But all I got to say is, yeah, them trades going to get you the money that you're looking for. And obviously right now, we need more youth in the trades. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, everybody can't be a streamer. Everybody can't be, you know, a content creator. You know what I'm saying? We're going to need people who are going to be able to work these jobs and do what's necessary. You know what I'm saying? Where does accountability come in the equation? Yeah, I think it comes in when obviously we've been seeing from jump the gaslighting that has happened ever since Black Americans decided that we wanted to make sure that we're focusing our money in places that actually are going to protect us and not hunt us down like dogs and thieves. You feel me? And so I think once that started to happen, we started to see people getting crazy, man. Hold on. Salute to Rodney Rez. He says, for example, no one is stopping Black women from running the weave industry. They don't run the weave industry, sir. I think what happens is they are one of the biggest consumers, right? Obviously, there was a time where Black women were the ones who created the weaves and all that, but that was until everything was co-opted by China, if you understood manufacturing. Now, let me give you a lesson about manufacturing. So in America, we used to have everything that was brick and mortar, made in hand, made in US. That was the big stick, right? We used to have manufacturing here. But obviously, what happened was there was a time when a lot of these people who were owning these corporations started to co-opt that work for cheaper labor and cheaper profit margins and went over to China to get cheaper products and be able to have a bigger margin to resell here. So when that happened, a lot of times you would see, hey, if there was a young lady, right, a young Black American lady who made wigs, that was her thing. She is now being priced out by 3 different beauty supply stores in 3 different locations who can sell the same wig, but an aesthetic version, an authentic version for much cheaper. So now you have a Black American wig creator out of business because they co-opt for the cheaper Chinese alternative. Does that make sense, Johnny Retro? Do you get where I'm coming from, Johnny Retro? If you understand manufacturing, I don't know if you've ever worked in corporate business, but this is what I used to do. I used to work in retail buying and also procurement. All right, so that means supply chain management. All right, these are high level business understandings here. Okay. And when you are started to work in these businesses, you work out here in Los Angeles, where there used to be a huge manufacturing hub during the fashion industry. You understand that all those places eventually closed because they just co-opt to go to China. And then guess what happened to all those people who are working in those manufacturing halls and all those businesses? And could you imagine what happened to them? Black women don't want to get their nails done by Black women. That's a lie, Johnny Retro. That's a lie. All right. We've already seen enough videos that have come out and them talking about what has already happened. Okay. They're already talking about they have no problem with that. That's a lie, Johnny. Come on, brother. Do better, my boy. All right. Solid points, but can we start from scratch? We don't have to start from scratch. Like I just mentioned, there are plenty of Black-owned businesses that are open right now who are taking clients and who are being supported. Now, what I also talked about, I don't know, obviously you're late here, but what I also talked about, let me make sure I pull this up for y'all, is this. I talked about the specific spots that if you did want to start a Black-owned business, this would be the metric that you could use to look at where the density of the Black dollars are spent, right? There's a power of the Black dollars chart that I put together here, right, for you guys so that we could talk about it, right? So Johnny, as you can see here, if you were starting from scratch, quote unquote, you would have actually some logistical metrics to show exactly what the top industries and what Black Americans are spending their money on the most. And as you see right at the top of the list, like you were just talking about, ethnic hair and beauty aids. Yeah, if I was a Black person, a Black American like I am, I would open a beauty supply store. Beauty supply stores, they're going to be one of the biggest booming businesses for Black-owned beauty supply stores. If you're a Black owner and you got a beauty supply store, you about to be flooded with business, okay? It's obviously, like I just showed you guys, it's at the top. One of the top most gross spending for Black American dollars is hair and beauty aids, okay? So that's off top. Like I mentioned, like this is why we try to break it down over here, Johnny. I hope you're keeping up. When we over here, we break it down to the nitty gritty. We getting down to the real numbers here, right? So like I mentioned, if I was to start a business today as a Black person and I want other Black people to spend their money with, there is a chart for this, all right? There's also a chart that tells us how much that money would be worth in comparison to entire countries, all right? The entire country of Mexico, just as a spending block, Black Americans are doing those numbers. So that's a lot of money, right? That's a lot of money. That's a good amount of money that can be redirected right back into our community. Okay, we doing better than Saudi Arabia, and they got oil. Okay, so if we're talking about the spending power of what Black Americans can do, and if you're trying to start a business as a Black American, okay, you got plenty of ways to do it. So why does it leave the community? Okay, great question. It leaves the community when a lot of these business grants that could be given to Black American business owners is co-opted and given to immigrants. This is facts, okay? We already know this. The subsidies that are given to them and opposed to what we qualify for, there is no comparison, okay? You have to always understand that white supremacy plays a part in this systemic play when it comes to Black Americans opening businesses in proximity to one another. Okay, specifically, that's what's going on. All right, we've already talked about redlining here. We've already talked about how Jim Crow literally tanked Black businesses, how integration tanked Black businesses, how the KKK burned and destroyed Black businesses. All right, there's a very, very systemic history that we cannot gloss over when it comes back to why does it leave the community? It leaves the community because they have strategically made it almost impossible for us to be able to service one another in our own communities, because they've made it easier for other groups to come in and do it with a much, much higher margin to make money. Okay, this is all about margins here, guys, and that's why I always talk about this. We always talk about this. You guys who patronize my channel, you guys are intelligent individuals, so we're always going to make sure that we open our minds up and talk about it from a real perspective. All right, but here's the issue though, which goes back to accountability. All right, keep going, Johnny. Let's see what you got to say here, man. You know, because I'm already breaking it down for you. I broke it down in so many different ways, and that's all I can really do. You know what I'm saying? Because it's very important here when we're talking about Black American business and the oversight and the way that we've been able to try to maximize this wealth transfer that will be happening once we start to shift that money out of one community and back into ourselves, right? You never lose when you bet on Black. All right, that's just facts, man. All right, so Johnny says the fruit of Islam keeps the dollar in the community, so it's a culture issue. Yeah, I mean, obviously that part is what we're talking about here, though, is the fact that there is no going around this, is that yes, the culture has to shift. We have to shift our culture from constantly putting our dollars elsewhere and putting it back into our community. That is the conversation. We are trying to shift that culture. The Asian Starter Kit was to start biz in Black American communities. Yes, indeed, Ezra, thank you. And that's a key component here, is the fact that they were given specific subsidies for these real estate ventures. All right, they were told, you being an immigrant, you're going to be able to get access to only these specific places, because they didn't want them in their community. This is just facts. They didn't want them in their community. So they sent them in our community. We accepted them, obviously, and we kept it cool. But over time, over generations, you can only keep it cool for so long. So many things can happen to you before you start to feel some type of way. So much history is going to continue to happen without people feeling, hey man, the time is now. We gotta make sure that we protect ourselves, because this is what's happening to our children. This is what they think of us. This is how they see us. And so whatever we were doing, it wasn't enough. So enough had to be, hey, it's cool. So let's hear Johnny. He says, so what's there to lose by having a Republican mindset? Here's the thing. when I'm talking about these are topics that are higher level than just a political party. Johnny, you gotta get, we're bigger than that. We're above that over here. We're above the Republican, Democrat, independent stuff. We ain't even talking about that. This is culturally stuff right here. All right. Just morally, what foundational Black Americans are doing right now and prioritizing their dollars, that has nothing to do with being a Republican. That just has everything to do with us investing in ourselves and our communities, something that we should have been doing a very long time ago. So when I'm talking about, a certain ideology that we have, it ain't just about, a Republican, a Democrat, a conservative, or a liberal. This is higher than that, bro. This is about like being like for real, like thinking in your mind about what's real and what's right and what's wrong. And when we looked at this, like this was wrong what happened to Carmack Belton. You know what I'm saying? Salute to John. He says, gotcha. But at the micro level, immigrants getting dollars is a Democrat move. Yeah, but let's keep it a buck. They was getting dollars when it was Republicans too, man. Don't get it twisted. Don't act like just because ICE is out here, there ain't still people who are immigrants making money right now, bro. I still see these construction sites. You can't tell me that all of them got papers, bro. Come on, man. I see these warehouses, bro. You know what I'm talking about. Don't, you know what I'm saying? Let's not do that. Because we already know, man, Republicans, bro, they all over. Here, one bird, two wings, brother. Two wings. They're all in the same team, bro. 100%. Because once we start to understand it's us versus them, like that's why we get so upset as Black Americans when y'all don't listen to us. When we tell y'all like it's bigger than just white folks. It's the elites. It's the elite white folks who are doing this. And y'all just gonna keep letting them do it by getting in the way, talking about this white supremacy crap. All that's doing is getting in the way of us getting at the real enemy. And y'all don't want to listen, bro. That'd be the point. Like, we be really trying to tell people, like, look, man, I know you got a problem with us, but we telling y'all it ain't us. You got to worry about them. You got to worry about Donald Trump. You got to worry about Elon Musk. You got to worry about Peter Thiel. But they don't want to talk about them people, bro. They don't want to talk about Prince Andrew, right? They don't want to talk about Epstein, dog, but they want to talk about, what happened to Carmelo, dog? What happened to Trump? What's up with the files? Y'all see that, though? Y'all don't know what we talking about, man. I'm telling you, bro, we be high level over here, and it could be two people in here. I don't care. Do you feel we put too much pressure on athletes for use of their capital? I mean, I think that obviously it's all a distraction. Like I mentioned, we go deep over here. We don't just do surface level. All this sports, entertainment, it's all distractions, bro. It's all distractions from what we supposed to be really focused on, dog. I love sports. Yeah, sure. You know what I mean? Yeah, we put pressure on athletes, no doubt. But we're the ones who paying them because we keep watching and we keep supporting it. So until we make sports like a hobby, like everything else, this is the dichotomy we'll always be in, and we'll always be stuck. I'm telling you, nothing will change when they know that they could just put on a basketball game or put on a UFC fight and everybody just distracted again. Nobody cares. Everybody's like, yeah, go team. Meanwhile, you feel me? Watching millionaires, bro. Watching millionaires, and you can't even pay to get gas in your car. You worried about a millionaire problems. They talking about, who's going to get paid this much next year and all this other crap. Meanwhile, you don't even know how much money you're going to be making next week, man. You don't even know if your job going to fire you next week. But y'all worried about, well, LeBron is the greatest basketball player of all time. Listen, man, like I said, I like sports. You know, I talk about sports on my channel, you know what I mean? Every so often, whatever. But I got kind of tired of it, bro, because it's like low key, like they don't care, dog. Let's keep it real. It's all distractions, man. And once we stop putting sports on pedestals and stops allowing us to distract us, we would actually be better off as a community. We'd be better off as a society. You know what I mean? We'd actually be able to take time and focus on what's really going on. Start to clean up our community, start cleaning up our act, start talking to one another. You know what I mean? Like, this is crazy, man. Yeah, dog. Wait till you hear 40 sports will fall back. Yeah, it's all, whatever, bro. Like, 40, whatever. But it's just, yeah, it's real talk. Like, you see it all the time. People who, they're so obsessed with it. You know what I mean? Even, like I listen to music. I love music, obviously. And, I know of how music is it's transitional. Like, it takes you to another place. Like, music does something for you, right? And, some people see sports that way, right? But at the end of the day, like, it's all distractions. It's all just us trying to, have something to distract us from whatever else we really want to think about or talk about. And, that's why I felt like, obviously today, I knew this wasn't going to be the most popular stream, but this is a very important topic because now it's to talk about, like, where do we go next as a community with our spending dollars, and where are we going to try to focus that energy? Because obviously, yes, we take it away from the Asians, right? Now the main focus should be not only investing it back into our community, but if you do have an idea or you want to open a business, start now. The time is now, because these are going to start hitting. Like, all you people who want to start businesses, who be thinking about starting a business, now is the time. Because right now, we do need more Black businesses in all shades. We need more laundromats. We need more dry cleaners. We need more nail techs. You know what I'm saying? Just because we got a few, shoot, all of y'all. We need more people, more beauticians, right? We need all that stuff. More like my boy Randall was talking about, we need more electricians. We need more people in the trades. Like, we need to start really ramping that up so that we could start focusing that. Who's going to be the first Black American who invests in a hospital? You know what I'm saying? So the topic is wealth transfer. No disrespect, but haven't HBCUs failed us? Shouldn't they be pumping out Black MBAs by the boatload? Or is that point of going? I think there are some, but a lot of, not everybody needs an MBA. Like, they're still pumping out graduates. I know that. People are still getting their degree. I know that. So there's definitely some, you know what I mean? There's something to it. What's up, V? Salute, V. That there's definitely something to it. You know what I mean? I went to a PWI. I get flack, but what HBCUs major in partying first? Yeah, I mean, some do, you know what I'm saying? But I have got a lot of friends who've gone to HBCUs and they've done great for themselves, and they're doing great in business, and they're doing what they got to do. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, I went to a Cal State, so that's kind of my thing, obviously, but I went to a Cal State, but I wanted to go to HBCU. I got recruited by a lot of HBCUs. Just didn't go, but yeah, I wouldn't mind it. That's for sure. And I think, just when it comes to, like I was saying, the wealth transfer, that is in direct correlation to this metric right here, which is, like, I'm keep bringing this up, but this is just the spending power that we possess as an entire spending block. And so once we can shift that money out of one community and back into our own, that only makes us better off. That only makes everything else look better. That only starts to grow our businesses and our outlook, and it's a beautiful thing, because I definitely see the potential. And like I mentioned, like, if you are a person who has an idea, or you want to start a business, or you're thinking about it, the time is now, my friend. Seize the day. You know what I mean? Because this is where a lot of people are going to start searching out Black businesses to do business with. And if you got one, man, you need to get out there and you start doing content, start making cards, whatever you got to do to put it out there in the forefront so that you can be found. All right. Obviously, like, for me, I do my thing. I have my own business and all that good stuff. But also, clear I do content, and I do my little thing over here, and we have fun with that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm my own black business. You feel me? But yeah, that's all we got for today. This was gonna be a short stream because I already knew that we was gonna talk more numbers today than we was gonna talk like a reaction. But maybe, you know, I might be back. Today's Tuesday, so I might be back Thursday or Friday. I'll let you guys know. Probably Thursday though. But yeah, I'll probably be back Thursday with something new, some new content. Definitely gonna chop it up about Black Music Month, because this is Black Music Month. So I'm thinking about maybe doing something Black Music Month themed. Just because, I mean, obviously Juneteenth is on Thursday. So yeah, maybe that, you know what I'm saying? We could really figure something out. You know what I mean? I'm gonna let y'all know, but I appreciate y'all pulling up, man. Make sure you guys like the video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, man. I noticed that right now, you know, everybody's kind of pushing the line, but we got to make sure y'all, masters and ownership. Yeah, man, we could definitely chop that up tomorrow. I mean, on Thursday or Friday, yeah, because I definitely want to chop it up on some music type of time for that, for Black Music Month in June. Like I said, Juneteenth is this week. So I feel like maybe I could do a little Juneteenth themed historical, you know, we could talk, you know what I'm saying, and listen to some good music, and I'll bring some, you know, some vibes for y'all. You know, I get up in the archives and let you guys hear some, you know what I'm saying? We'll vibe out. But yeah, make sure, like I said, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Make sure you like the video, make sure you hype the video, and if you would like to continue to support us, man, because we growing right now, man. We're trying to get to 1,500 subs, so help us get there. Peace, y'all. I'm out.